Pope Francis elevates 14 new cardinals today in a ceremony steeped in tradition.
A che serve guadagnare il mondo intero se si è corrossi all'interno?
The Holy Father told them to resist temptations towards vanity and to stay on mission. There are now 226 cardinals. They're from 6 continents and 88 countries. With more on this, we're joined by Edward Pentin, Rome correspondent for EWTN's National Catholic Register. Edward, what was the Holy Father's message to these new leaders of the Church?
Well, he gave advice as usual, Wyatt. These are his closest collaborators, his advisors, and the 14 new ones, and he wanted to really share with them, or warn them rather, not to get caught up in what he called intrigues and envy and jealousy. And instead, the antidote to that, he said, was to help the poor, the drug addicts, the imprisoned, the sick. And he said that you really shouldn't feel superior to anybody because you're a servant of Christ, and that's what really matters.
We introduced our audience to one of the new cardinals, Cardinal Sacco, last night. Give us an overview of the whole group.
Yes, well, what's significant about this group, Wyatt, is that they're mostly from the peripheries or helping the peripheries, as Pope Francis has done with a lot of the previous consistories. For example, Cardinal Pedro Barreto from Peru has done a lot in terms of environment in the Amazonian area. That's also significant for the synod next year on the Amazon. Then there's Cardinal Konrad Krajewski, who's a Polish prelate who's done a lot as the papal almoner, helping the poor here in Rome. But also there have been the usual selections. He's chosen Cardinal Angelo Becciu, who's the Sostituto, who's a very important role in the Curia, and Cardinal Luis Ladaria, who's prefect of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. These are kind of expected appointments.
And with these new cardinals, Pope Francis is shaping the body that will elect the next pope. What do these picks say about his priorities?
Well, again, Wyatt, it's often reflective of his wish to focus on what is really the global south and where the church is growing fastest. He also chooses those who come from particularly poor areas, those with an interest in the environment, and very much it's an inclusive, it sort of gives the signal of an inclusivity. Some complain about this. They say that, well, how can these cardinals have a great knowledge of the worldwide church? But others say that it is very reflective of the church today, and they think it's an important sort of gesture to make.
Very interesting to hear about all this and to hear about the ceremony today as well. Edward Pentin, Rome correspondent for EWTN's National Catholic Register. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Wyatt.